the more of the feelings of music, not just going to hang out and drink. And other bands were starting to emerge around that time. Exodus especially, there was a band that we were doing lots of gigs with. Look at those Metal Massacre albums that Brian Slagle put out. You could see the history on those of what bands emerged. You know, in LA too, they started coming out, Armored Saint, Bitch, and all of these things. Like the new wave of British metal had hit the West Coast. You know.
Metalscenen med fäste i San Franciscos Bay Area blomstrade snart och musiken spreds över världen. Kassetter byttes och fanzine startades och för många musiker var ännu en pusselbit på plats.
A lot of different bands start to show up like through fanzines and really like underground tape trading and stuff like that. Bands like Venom and Hellhammer back in like 84, 85, and then Metallica, all those bands. It was really cool because we had to search for music. We didn't really had like MTV or anybody telling us, you know, how to dress or how to listen to our music. We had to search for it, and we find different people in different places that like the same style of music, and we start exchanging music. That was very important at the time.
We had a list of stuff that we could trade with other people, and most of those people had their own band. So we had our own band as well, and we didn't have a tape. So we recorded a demo. That was the reason why we recorded the End of the World demo, to have something to give back to the people that we wrote to. And it wasn't necessarily meant to get us a record deal, because we didn't think about these things, you know. So it was definitely in the mid 80s, that was a big thing. You know, the Sepultura guys, that's how they wrote me and they sent me the tapes, and it was amazing. You know, we knew a band from Brazil.
Change my way. It has to be this way. I live my life for myself. Forget your filthy ways. Blame and lies. Contradictions arise. Blame and lies. Contradictions arise.
We were way more into like death metal in the beginning of the band, and then we started listening to bands, especially bands like Exodus and Testament and bands like that, who were more like what they were calling like thrash metal, especially from that area, the Bay Area. A lot of those bands were influencing us.
You know, it was an awesome time. All those bands coming up and just, you know, we'd put shows together Monday nights and just, you know, I just remember, you know, we'd go up on the hill and just drink and blast Venom and Tank and all the stuff we loved. And it was a family.
Even the middle of the
I mean, just in our field, there was like what they always used to say, like the four bands was us, Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, and then other bands spawned after that. But for the time, you know, with us, it was like this was thrash metal. This is what people came to, you know, they liked it. They came to buy our records, and then other bands took notice of it and said, hey, we can be thrash metal too. Why not? And then that happened. And then after that whole thrash metal explosion, you had so many other forms of music that happened after that, I believe, that, you know, you flood the market.
But then at the time in, let's say, 88, 89, all the bands that were playing fast and aggressive music or, you know, whatever, got signed right away without having a tape, you know. And it was very easy for some bands to get a record deal. So that's what destroyed a whole lot of the scene back then, because the industry just jumped on it and kind of squeezed it.
You doesn't think to satisfy the soul. The real life you can't deny, you can't deny.
In the late 80s, when the scene really did start to change, because basically the hair bands came along and it kind of, in a way, destroyed a lot of what was so cool about metal, because people then considered that to be metal, and that was just fucking lame.
She's my cherry pie. Cool drink of water, such a sweet surprise. Tastes so good, make a grown man cry. Sweet cherry pie.
It all spawned different things, you know, power metal, traditional metal in Germany. It's like, you know, Viking metal.
Yeah, there's always going to be, you know, there'll always be some type of underground. There'll always be whatever's considered to be the most extreme. You know, you've got so many from when we started even. You know, you go back to when we first started playing, and, you know, you had a band like Venom, and then after that you had Hellhammer / Celtic Frost, and then, say, Slayer, who, you know, that was kind of the transition, those bands that definitely started the more extreme side of things. I mean, I think if you talk to any black metal band or death metal band since the late 80s, they would tell you, well, that's the first thing they were, you know.
Dead, your God is dead.